What is up, guys? It is Tristan Folks here. In this video, we're going to introduce the newest promoted clubs in UEFA's top 5 leagues. On Friday, we will see 3 of these 5 leagues begin their seasons, with the other 2 starting the weekend afterwards. So I figured we give a quick dive in to take a look at the newest promoted clubs. And how this will work is we'll introduce each club league by league, how they promoted, their home grounds, as well as looking at each club's top edition and their biggest loss from the summer. And that will also exclude loans for the losses, and we'll be using Transfermarkt to help us get some good values on these players. And lastly, I'll make my predictions whether they stay up in their respective top tier league or do they go back down. Before we get into this is my new temporary setup, and I'm sure you can tell I have a little of a froggy voice right now, and I have no clue what this is going to truly look like on camera until after the fact. And then the HVAC is in the background as well, so we're just gonna have to survive with it. I've done my best to prohibit noise. So anyways, let's get right into this thing. Alright, first off, we're gonna begin with the Premier League out of England. We saw 3 clubs promote from the EFL Championship as per usual. 2 sides are familiar, and one side, it's been a really hot minute for them. The first club that was promoted is Leeds United. The last time we saw them in the Premier League was in 2022-2023. They weren't able to get back up in their first season down in the Championship after losing to Southampton in the playoff final at Wembley Stadium by a score of 1-0. This year, they end up redeeming themselves by achieving promotion, obviously, and they end up winning the league by a matter of goal differential, which they finished with plus 65 on their goal differential, which essentially they broke that tie by plus 12. And then for their home grounds, the Whites play at Ellen Road, which seats a total of 37,645 people, and that is 12th in the Premier League. Ahead of their campaign, their top transfer acquisition on value ends up being midfielder Sean Longstaff, transferring from Newcastle United for a fee of 13.8 million euros, which is the brother of fellow TFC player Matty Longstaff. Their biggest loss ends up being the Danish right back of Rasmus Christensen, who ended up transferring to Eintracht Frankfurt of the Bundesliga, with that fee being 6 million euros. The big question is, will Leeds United be able to stay up in the Premier League and hang around, or will they be going back down? For me, I believe this club has worked on improving the defensive end for their club, with Joel and Gudmundsson coming in, and also upgrading the goalkeeper position, with Lucas Perry moving over as the other notable additions, in my opinion, that end up being the difference maker for them to stay up. The next club in the Premier League to earn promotion is Burnley. They only stayed in the Championship for a season after jumping up and down the last few years, but they're right back up again. They earned promotion with a second place finish in the EFL Championship, missing out on first by a matter of goal differential to Leeds United. The Clarets will be playing at Turf Moor, which has been their home ground since the establishment of the club in 1883. Seating 21,944 people, which is 18th in the Premier League. Their top transfer going into this upcoming season is Leslie Ugochukwu at 21 years old, coming from Chelsea with a big fee of 28.7 million euros. Their biggest loss to their roster was their standout goalkeeper James Trafford, who moved over to Manchester City with a fee of 31.2 million euros. You could argue that overall, Burnley gave plenty of money to Chelsea to make some acquisitions, but will those be the difference makers? And I don't think it's going to be enough, and that's mainly the fact that Burnley lost a very good goalkeeper, and it hasn't been addressed, in my opinion. It's going to be a whole different level, and I'm not sure if this side is really going to be able to compete. The last club in the Premier League earning promotion ends up being Sunderland. The last time we saw Sunderland in the Premier League was 2016-2017, when they saw relegation in the Championship, and ended up all the way down to Ligue 1 the following season, and they did not return to the championship until 2022. The previous season, they finished 4th in the table, and they ended up winning the playoff final against Sheffield United to achieve promotion. For their home grounds, the Black Cats are at the Stadium of Light, sitting 49,000 people, which is 9th in the Premier League and is a UEFA 4-star category stadium. Their biggest add-on was Simone Idingra from Cote d'Ivoire, departing from Brighton-Hove Albion with a fee of €24.4 million. And he notably had the best match rating as a fielder in his last international match, which was a friendly back in June against Canada. Their biggest loss is Joe Bellingham, who follows into his brother's footsteps by transferring to Borussia Dortmund of the Bundesliga, with that fee being $30.5 million. Will Sunderland find a way to stay up after their big step-ups in the past 3 years? I believe the matches at home for them will be electric, and they've strengthened up the wide areas as well as their midfield. I just don't believe they have the level to sustain in the Premier League, which notably they lost their last 5 matches before the playoffs and were winless in their last 6 before they found their ways in the playoffs at Wembley, making that magic happen essentially. It's going to be a rough season for them, and especially on the road. That was the Premier League for you. Now let's shift our focus down south towards the Mediterranean Sea, where we have Italy's top league, Serie A. 3 clubs were promoted in a similar fashion as well. First off, let me change kits for this one. I'm going to make sure this stands out. But anyways, the first club earning promotion is Sassuolo. They ended up relegated the previous season after an 11-season stay in Serie A that included a season in Europa League. This year, they bounced right back up by winning Serie B by 6 points, scoring the most goals in the league. Their home grounds is Maypee Stadium, which seats up to 21,515 people, which ranks 16th in Serie A. For their top acquisition this summer, it ends up being one of my very own Canadian internationals of Ismail Kone, who is on loan from Marseille of Ligue 1. With a required loan to purchase, the Sassuolo ends up remaining in Serie A. Their biggest loss of the summer ends up being Euros Bresic, transferred to ours of the Super League Greece 1, which is their top league with a fee of €3 million. Is Sassuolo going to have another nice stay in Serie A? My answer is because they've built up the history of being consistent lately, and not to be biased here in any way, but I do believe the fact that Ismail Kone will have the opportunity to blossom and be a massive player in the midfield. And I think it will be a recipe for some sort of success to stay away from being relegated, and that they didn't really lose players ultimately. So I say they'll stay up, and Kone ends up being a favorite. Alright, we're back in the TFC kit now, and we're going to move on to the second club that gets promoted, and that is Pisa. And I know what you might be thinking, which I got you. Trust me. Anyways, the story here is quite incredible. They have not been in the top flight of Italian football since 1991. They ended up falling as far as the 4th tier and recently returned to Serie B in 2019. And in the past season, they finally returned to Serie A by finishing 2nd in the table of Serie B by 10 points. And it's quite the story. And now for their home ground, which is the most exciting part, they play at the Arena Garibaldi, which seats 12,508 people, which is 20th, aka last in Serie A. But if you look up in the picture, you will see the Tower of Pisa, so that's very cool. For their top add-on, they acquired Impala Nuzzola from Angola on loan for Borita, with an option to purchase at the end of the season. Their biggest loss ends up being Lissandro Tremonti on a free transfer to FC Zurich of the Swiss Super League. Will Pisa continue to write their incredible story? For myself, I just don't see it sustaining very long, unfortunately. It's a very big jump up, and the competition is very intense in general. It'd be very cool to see them survive, but I expect to see them relegated once again. The last club that achieved promotion to Serie A last year ends up being Cremonese. The club was in Serie B for the previous 2 seasons after a singular season in Serie A before then. They finished 4th on the table, setting themselves up playing one less match in the promotion playoffs, and they won their final playoff match to return to Serie A. Their home grounds is the Stadio Giovanni, seating 20,641 people, which is 17th in Serie A. This summer, their top acquisition is Alizo Zerbin, who is coming on loan from Napoli with an option to purchase. Their biggest loss ends up being goalkeeper Andreas Jungle, who transferred to Westerlo of the Belgian Pro League for a fee of €1 million. Is Cremonese just going to drop right back down? I did the research and I heard about their manager, who seems to be really good at dodging relegation, but I think that's all not going to work out unless they make some big moves. I just know the majority of clubs who've been in Serie A are still ahead of them, and they're going to need someone to essentially collapse. Next up, let's shift over across the east to Spain. We have La Liga next to look over, and 3 clubs have promoted in the same fashion as in England. The first club that achieved promotion is Levante. They were in what was known as the Segunda Division before, officially being now known as La Liga 2, the previous 3 seasons after staying in La Liga previously for 5 seasons. The previous season, they ended up winning the league in a tight battle, only by 2 points, and their home grounds is the Estadio Ciutat de Valencia, seating 26,534 people, which is 12th in La Liga. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to the Valencia Derby, with Valencia 3 kilometers away. Their top acquisition is Alamaturo, who was on loan from Genoa of Serie A with an option to purchase for €12 million. Their top loss of the summer is Georgi Kotorashvili, transferring to Sporting SP of Portugal for a fee of €5.5 million. Will the league winners of the second tier be staying up? My answer is no. I just don't see enough to help this side to be able to stay up, and it's a very hard jump, honestly. They failed to make big moves this summer, and that's just not going to cut it, in my opinion, and they'll continue to be the little brothers of Valencia. The second club earning promotion is Elche. They were last in La Liga in 2023 before getting relegated to La Liga 2 for a couple of seasons. The previous season, they finished second by 2 points, and they lost out on winning the league by 2 points, but it's enough to earn promotion. The home grounds is the Estadio Martínez Valero, which seats 31,188 people, 10th in La Liga. For their top add-on this summer, they get Valvero Rodriguez from Real Madrid for a total of €2 million. Their biggest loss ends up being Nicolas Fernandez, who moved to New York City FC of the MLS to go play some baseball. Can Elche manage to stay up in La Liga, or will it be back down? I believe it's going to be back down to La Liga 2. They had an okay summer, but it is not going to be enough, as I don't see clubs regressing to their level at all. With the third and last club that earned promotion, that club is Real Oviedo. For the first time since 2001, and I was not even born yet, they have found themselves back to La Liga. They ended up all the way at the 3rd tier before returning to the Segunda Division in 2016. They were very consistent, but this year they ended up 3rd in the table, which set them up for the best position in the promotion playoffs, as they were ultimately promoted by a matter of an extra time goal, coming back from behind 2-0 on aggregate. Their home grounds is the Estadio Carlos Carrera, with holding 30,500 people as a UEFA 4-star category stadium, which is 11th in La Liga. Their top addition of the summer is Aleixara from Girona for a fee of €2 million, and their biggest loss is Sebas Mayana, who returns to La Liga 2 for Real Zaragoza on a free transfer. After a long stay away, can Real Oviedo use some of their magic late? to maybe this time around stay up in La Liga. I actually think this will be close as they put together a solid summer together and added attacking pieces, but I'm not sure if that's going to do it, so I'm going to play on the safe side here. I'm going to say that this is not going to be their year of staying up, and they're going to be going right back down again. Moving to the northwest, we have the Bundesliga. This is Germany's top-tier league, and the relegation is done a little differently. The third worst side of the Bundesliga plays the third best side of Bundesliga 2, and in the past season, FC Heidenheim scored a goal in stoppage time to stay up in the Bundesliga, meaning only 2 teams were promoted for this upcoming campaign. The first club that achieved promotion is FC Cologne. They were relegated to the Bundesliga 2 just over a season ago after 5 consecutive seasons in the top flight. Immediately, they were able to bounce back up by winning the league by 2 points. Their home grounds for them is Rhein-Energy Stadion, seating 49,698 people, the 7th highest in the Bundesliga. Their top addition of the summer is the Icelandic midfielder Isaac Johannesson, acquired from Bundesliga 2 side for Dusseldorf for 5.5 million euros. On the other side of things, their biggest loss is the U.S. men's national team newest forward Damian Downs, who scored the match-winning PK for the USA against Costa Rica back in Minneapolis during the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup quarterfinals, who transferred to Southampton of the EFL Championship for 8 million euros. The big question is, with the lack of promotion, can FC Cologne manage to stay up? I believe they're actually going to be competitive in the Bundesliga, and they're going to be able to stay up, in my opinion. And, we see Bundesliga clubs that aren't capable of staying long-term fall off, and it happens pretty quickly. And the other club achieving promotion to the Bundesliga is Hamburger SV. I remember when they were relegated from the Bundesliga back in 2018, and the scenes from all of that after being the first tier in pretty much their entire history, dating all the way back to 1947. I'm surprised they stayed in the Bundesliga 2 for as long as they did, which was 7 years. And ultimately, they are finally back after finishing second and only 1 point ahead of third, which they would get to the playoff promotion relegation battle 2 times, and they would fail, and they would finish the lowest of 4th in those 7 years before then. And now, they finally done it. Their home grounds is the Volkspark Stadion, sitting 57,000 people, which is 5th in the Bundesliga, as well as a UEFA 4-star category stadium. Their biggest addition of the summer is Nicolas Campado, moving for RB Leipzig for a fee of 2.1 million euros. And their biggest loss is midfielder Ludovic Reis, who moves to Club Brugge of Belgium, with the transfer fee being 7 million euros. Will we see Hamburger begin to return to their glory days, or will it be a return to the depths? I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I know they haven't achieved the most this summer, but absolutely they're staying up. Their home grounds is going to be a hard place to play at for oppositions, and I believe they know the expectations and never want to be relegated again. So I expect to see that mentality from them. And lastly, we move over to what people call the Farmers League. That is Ligue of France. They also have a promotion relegation just like Germany, but this time around, Stadions could not stay up. Beginning with our first club earning promotion, it is FC Lorient. It feels like yesterday when I recall they were a good side, which that was over 2 years ago. Recently, they were relegated the previous season to Ligue 2 on a matter of a tiebreaker that had to go all the way to who conceded more goals after staying in Ligue 1 for 4 seasons. It is 1 tier down, but in Ligue 2, they end up winning the league only by 2 points, but they also conceded the least amount of goals, which in Ligue 1 they conceded the most. Le Mans home grounds is the Stade Mossois, holding 18,890 people, which is 15th in Liga. This summer, their top add-on is Dermont Karim from Togo, being purchased from originally being on loan from Lamel of the second-tier Challenger Pro League in Belgium. Their biggest loss ends up being Johan Catalin departing to Utrecht of the Eredivisie in the Netherlands on a fee of 2.8 million euros. And that league is very hard to say when it has that many syllables. After one season away and not making too many moves in the summer, will they be able to stay up in Liga? As of now, I don't see how they currently can, as they did not make any notable additions. And I think they'll be just like they were the previous season when they got knocked down. With the second club earning promotion to Liga, we have Paris FC. And I've been waiting for this one to happen for a long time, as it has been since 1979 that they participated in the top flight. They ended up collapsing ultimately, and ended up all the way down to the fourth tier as a different identity until the year 2005. They achieved stability in the second tier back in 2017 and have steadily improved from that. And in this past season, they finally make their way up to the Liga by finishing second, losing the league by 2 points, and finishing 4 points ahead of third. The Parisians' home ground is the Stade Gibois, holding 20,000 people, which is 14th in Liga, and it is directly across the street from the defending Liga champions PSG's home ground of Paris the Princes. This has now initiated the Paris Derby, and it's absolutely going to be bonkers, fireworks, you name it. And I'm looking forward to it on January 4th of 2026. Anyways, their top addition this summer is Moses Simon, moving from Nantes for a fee of 1.5 million euros, and an honorable mention of Brazilian center back Otavio, transferring from Porto for a fee of 17 million euros. Their top loss of the summer is Josias Bukambaila on a free transfer to FC Sion, which is the only player they lost. As much as Paris FC will be the little brothers to PSG, will they have enough stability to remain in Liga? My answer is yes. They made two massive additions to their side and did not lose any players ultimately. It's going to be a rough transition for some of these players, but I believe they'll get better throughout the year and have a solid winter transfer window. I expect them just to stay alive. And with the last club achieving promotion in Liga, Metz makes their return. They have bounced up and down in recent years and had a 3-season stay in Liga at best in recent years from 2016 to 2018, and they won Ligue in 2019. And they were last in Liga during the 2023-2024 season, and they ended up earning promotion through the promotion relegation playoff against Stadions by a matter of 2 extra time goals in the final 10 minutes of the match, and were third overall in League 2. Les Grenades' home ground is the Stade Saint-Symphorien, holding 28,786 people, which is 11th in Liga. Their biggest add-on of the summer is Boubacar Traore, on loan from Wolves of the Premier League with no purchase option, and it is not his first time with the club. And their biggest loss of the summer ends up being Arthur Ada, who transferred to Udinese of Serie A with a fee of 8 million euros. Can Metz manage to stay longer than just one season in Liga? I'm going to throw a big curveball in here. I'm going to say yes. They earn money throughout the transfer window, as well as try to play smart in the window. I still believe they are going to struggle, but there are clubs in Liga that I also expect to just completely collapse coming up this campaign, believe it or not. If they can set themselves up for a big winner ahead in the transfer window and more, it's going to be good for them. Alright, so that is the 14 newest clubs in UEFA's top 5 leagues who have all earned promotion. I've learned plenty myself, and I hope you did too, and found things interesting. Personally, for myself, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled at Serie A with Jonathan David making his move to Juventus, Ismail Kone getting his loan to the league as well. And it's a league that I'm not 100% comfortable with and fully understand, but I would like to embrace and expand my knowledge on their league. And there are plenty of other Canadians playing in these top 5 leagues, which I will list somewhere on the screen. And those would be clubs that I will also keep eyes on, and I hope they do well low key, but mainly I'm hoping the players succeed. So I don't have a favorite club in Europe, honestly, and that's just more of my belief on sticking with one club that has a legitimate meaning to you personally, and that is Toronto FC, the MLS, which I don't like that league at all. Just needed to put that out there. But then, on the other hand, it should be a very exciting fall coming up, as I'll be looking to do some UEFA Champions League coverage and come up with some wild ideas. Also, thanks for sticking with me through my mispronunciations throughout this video, as well as the froggy voice playing a big role into that. But we got to get videos out essentially, so I do appreciate you. And other than that, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more stuff like this. At the end of the video, I'll have my recent soccer vlog where Aston Villa came to St. Louis, Missouri for the preseason ahead of the Premier League. That will be it for me, so thanks for watching, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.